Yo, welcome to NS9 Live. I, of course, am your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me tonight, we have our co-host, Jim Rosati. Jim, Bucks win.
Bucks win, Bucks win. Raise a Jolly Roger.
Raise it.
There was no doubt about it. They did try to make it a little interesting, but they built up a nice enough lead there that even their bullpen couldn't even blow it.
Even the bullpen couldn't blow it, Jim. 9-0, 9-1. For a second there, I felt like maybe the bullpen might blow it, but they hung on. It's crazy that they won 9-6, and you're nervous about this game.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you saw my tweet, but it was right after Hartley kind of got out of that seventh inning. Mm-hmm. I was like, this bullpen actually seems pretty competent. And then the next inning, I was like, never mind.
Right. Obviously. I mean, Sam Howard looked pretty good. He's been looking pretty good all year. So I know he gave up a home run, but I mean, it happens. It's also Great American Small Park. Mm-hmm. You know that better than anyone right now. Being close to Cincinnati.
Yeah, it is. Well, what's crazy about the ballpark is just the power alleys. Like if you look at the power alleys of it, it's so short. Like that Galvis home run I was talking about. He hit that ball, basically dead left center field, 396 feet. It was almost in the second deck at Great American Ballpark. At PNC Park, that ball might barely be out, because of that left center field fence. But yeah, I know that it's definitely a very hitter friendly environment there.
Yeah, that's for sure. But oddly enough, I mean, the Pirates hit how many home runs tonight? By the way, let's put this out there. So it's what, National Lefty Day? Is that what it is? And
is
home
that
runs?
True?
I think so. And then home runs hit today by Adam Frazier, Colin Moran, and Gregory Polanco. Is there something to that?
Maybe. I didn't know it was National Lefty Day. So
I saw some random tweet earlier about lefties, and then actually I think they talked about it in the broadcast today, and that's when I put two and two together. But yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if it's National Lefty Day. Put the lefties in the lineup, and you'll hit home runs. But on top of that, what I was going to say is, even though the ballpark is very small, as you're mentioning, those home runs today were actually really legit for the Pirates. I mean, the power was there.
Mm-hmm.
Where did this come from? I mean, Adam Frazier leads it off with a barrel, might add you. We talk about barrels on Starbucks, right? They were barreling all day. Colin Moran had one. Eric Gonzalez had one. But yeah, lead off, first pitch, first hit, first home run of the game. Boom, Adam Frazier, 1-0. He cranked that.
Yeah, Frazier, 415 feet. Barrel. Colin Moran, barrel. Gonzalez, barrel. Yeah, hey, it was they were hitting the ball hard off of DeSclafani. I don't know if he just didn't have his stuff today or what, but he did not look himself, that's for sure. And it was just really all hard hit balls. Like you look at the first, I'm looking at the StatCast game page here, and they, when they have the exit velocities, it's like dark red, light red, red, and then it goes to blue. So it's giving you the redder it is, the harder the hit.
Sure.
And literally red, 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 pink, red, blue, red, red, red. So those are that's the Pirates' first two innings. So they were hitting the ball hard.
It was crazy. Like even Jared Dyson, as you mentioned, it was, for him, we're talking about Dyson for one, but he hit it 330 feet.
Yeah. Dyson was the pink one.
Right. So, he's pink. He hits it 330 feet. You knew something was off. When Dyson's hitting almost out to the warning track, things aren't going good for the other pitcher. But you're absolutely right. The first three hits, actually the first two hits were home runs. Kevin Newman lined it out. The first hit was Adam Frazier, as you mentioned, 415 feet. Colin Moran, the second hit, home run, 430 feet. It was amazing. Like you said, then the second inning came. Wow. 3 days off. Our hope, we talked about the three keys on Starbucks. Now, one of them was, of course, getting to the bullpen early. Jim, mission accomplished.
There we go. They were able to do that. Yep.
The other one, it seems like every other time we talk about the Pirates, getting this team right hitting wise. The top of the order, the top of the lineup. Mentioned maybe the 3 days, like maybe having the Cardinals with their issues, which by the way, they're not playing again. Again, the Cardinals having their issues.
Another double header canceled today.
Right. So it's like maybe the Pirates can sit back, fix themselves, get in the cages. They can fix themselves, get right. Now, my biggest thing was I mentioned maybe Josh Bell gets his swing right. It still looked out of whack today. But overall, this lineup, I think Reynolds was the only one who didn't get a hit tonight, but he was still cranking them pretty hard. So a little bit of unluckiness on his part. But yeah, everyone pretty much looked pretty good offensively.
And then what was the other key to the game? What was the other key to the series?
Does it look bad that I'm going to say I forget?
Yeah, it does. Because it was
I do remember. Yes, Eric Gonzalez.
Eric Tatis Gonzalez. The two hardest hit balls of the day by the Pirates, both from Eric Gonzalez.
Yes.
106.2 and
107, I remember.
107.3. So Eric Gonzalez continuing to mash. That first double that he had in the second inning, he crushed that ball. He didn't hit it high enough. He yanked it to left field, hit off the top of the fence. But gosh, was that ball crushed.
It really was. And it just goes to show, like, here we are. It's still continuing. We talked about Eric Gonzalez. It's not that we're looking just at empty batting average numbers, right? We're looking at what he's doing to the ball. And he's crushing it. He's killing it. And it does. It continued tonight. We want to see more of him. And it seems like every single day, he's giving more reasons to want to see him. And he very easily could have, 3 days off. He could have came out here and maybe he still had 2 hits. Maybe he still went 2 for 4, but there were 2 dribblers down the line or whatever. But he came out. He's still doing what he's been doing all year, absolutely demolishing the ball. It showed in the numbers, right? 2 for 4 with a double. Really?
Doubles. 2 doubles.
Yes. Sorry. 2 doubles. My bad.
Yeah.
Which equals a home run. So really, he, as the young Freddie Galvis, kind of equaled the mature Freddie Galvis tonight. So all things remain the same, obviously. But yeah, like I said, he came out, like, the only flaw I guess I could see with him tonight was that grounder hit to him, on the third baseline late in the game, right at the end there. Well, it's still a tough play. I think typically he makes that, but like, that's really the only flaw you're getting. I have seen nothing but good things with the eye test, with the StatCast numbers, like everything from Eric Gonzalez this year.
No, he's a 145 weighted runs created plus. You look at his StatCast page and the whole thing's red. We played the Tatis or Gonzalez game the other day, and their StatCast numbers aren't that far off from each other.
They might flip flop tonight.
Yeah, no, we'll see. Tatis starts in about an hour, so we'll see how that goes. Looking at the only thing I guess I could kind of complain about is he hasn't drawn a walk yet this year. So he got a 0% walk rate. So he's slashing 350, 350, 550.
Right.
So you would like to get him maybe some walks, but hey, if you're hitting 350 and slugging 550, I guess it really doesn't matter that much.
You're right. And he's expected to hit even better than that. You could say he's gotten bad luck this year, Jim. Mm-hmm. So, the one thing too, he's never been a high walk rate guy.
No.
And like in this small sample wise, I'm not totally down on that, but I am with you. It's a little bit concerning, like he hasn't drawn a walk yet, but at the same time, it seems like he hasn't seen a pitch he hasn't liked, and he's made good things happen with it. It's almost like the Starling Marte effect. He was a free swinger. He seemed like in J-Hay by all means. God, he could hit any pitch, I felt. But, usually like when they were on, they could hit and make good things happen. And it seems like that's what he's doing right now. So I'm sure after some time he'll normalize and he'll get some walks. But, look at his career. He's like a 4% walk rate. He's not going to draw a lot. If you're hitting like this, though, don't care. I really don't.
Right. Exactly.
It's gonna come, but it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, I guess that's what we are. Like that's where we are at in 2020. We're nitpicking Eric Gonzalez on his walk rate. I don't know.
Hey, I mean, when you need an elite bat like Eric Gonzalez, you need to get everything out of him.
Well, I think we've talked enough about Eric Gonzalez this week. We've shared our love of this one game. What else? How about Gregory Polanco once again, showing when he connects, good things can happen as well.
Yeah. So Polanco, I mean, same thing. I mean, the numbers aren't there from like a standpoint of where you. I mean, he's still not batting 100. He's hitting 0.94 on the year. He has 3 hits, in 31 at bats, 2 of which have left the park. So when he is making contact with the ball, it's going a long way. Exit velocity right now averaging over 97. So when he's hitting the ball, it's going. He's hitting it hard. Almost a 50% strikeout rate is an issue. He needs to get that way down, and he just needs to do a better job of kind of commanding that zone and putting the ball in play. I don't really know what to say about him yet. It's still really he's. Like I said, we need to see more of him.
Yes.
So hopefully he can stay healthy and stay in games. Because, yeah, I mean, we've all seen what Polanco's capable of doing, over stretches of his career. There's some times where, he's out there and he looks like he's the best player on the field, like, between both teams. And then there's other times where he looks completely lost. So, I mean, I think Polanco at this point, he just kind of is what he is. I don't think, like, I'm not expecting him to kind of break through right now. I mean, this is his 6th season in the major leagues.
Yeah.
At this point, I think he just kind of is what he is. But no, I mean, he can be exciting though. I mean, like I said, we've all seen him when he's on. So if he's on, he's fun to watch.
Can we just take a step back too and just like think about that? This is really Polanco's 6th season. Where has the time gone? And like, I totally get where you're coming from too. Like he is what he is. Every year I feel like this is Polanco's breakout year, and there's got to be a time where you just got to put that behind you. Like it just isn't going to happen. I mean, you can't be 6 years in and still like hoping for this breakout. But at the same point, I also get it because there's been a lot of misfortunes, like with injuries and this and that with him. And like you say, you keep seeing these spurts and there's something there. And I'm with you. Like, I don't think we're ever going to see this Gregory Polanco that it was hyped up to be. The dream outfield of Kutch, Marte, and Polanco. The first outfield ever that could hit 20 home runs and hit 20 or gets 20 stolen bases, per person. Like, that's not going to happen. But I'm with you that I still want to give him every opportunity to show that maybe there is definitely something there. I mean, yes, it absolutely has not translated right now into numbers. He looks awful out there. He's striking out 43% of the time. Like you mentioned, he's still batting 0.94. But you look at the BABIP, 0.67. Like there's a lot of bad luck there. He is. I know how much you love Fernando Tatis Jr. But if you want to look at the StatCast numbers such, Jim, Fernando Tatis Jr.'s exit velocity is 97. Good for only 2nd in MLB, Jim. Only 2nd. He's behind Gregory Polanco. So, like, this is what we're getting at. This is why you do want to see him. Well, I want to see him. He's been out of baseball for how long now? I think it's very evident. You look across MLB as a whole, the batters are behind. You can look at this team right now. Everyone looks awful. Don't look at a batting average for the Pirates unless it's Eric Gonzalez. So they all look bad. So, like, I want to give him time to catch up, to get with his rhythm, into his timing. Hopefully see the strikeouts, normalize a little bit, him make a little more contact. Because as I said, when he makes contact, we see how good things can happen. So I'm willing, like I said, to give him all that time tonight. Another outing to show 1 strikeout, 1 walk, and a home run. I mean, I'll take that.
No, yeah, I mean, like I said, I want to see him out there because at this point, I think we're kind of Ryan always talks about how we should have traded Polanco, 4 years ago, right?
Right.
We're just past that point right now.
We
Like
are.
he's not a trade chip. I don't think he is, and he won't be for the foreseeable future. But the team has him until 2023 for pretty good value if they want to keep him. So he's actually someone who can play a role on this team for the next 3 years. Um, but there we go. Sorry about that. But he's a guy who can play a role on this team over the next 3 years. And really, when you look at kind of what's down there in the minors, you want to have somebody like Gregory Polanco in that lineup who can potentially, if he's healthy, hit 25 or more home runs, because we don't have a lot of that right now in the organization. So he's an important key part. Like I said, I don't really expect this team to be competitive this year or next year. But I mean, starting in 2022, you never know kind of what could happen between now and then. He's still going to be a part of this team.
Right. He's your big ticket. Even if you don't, like you said, he's there till 2023. If you're looking at this as a rebuild, when are you going to get competitive? We're not quite sure. He might not be in that next phase. And I'm okay with that. I can live with that. Fully understand that. But he could be that big ticket to get you some value in a trade. Well, how are you going to get value in a trade? By giving him every opportunity to show it. And that's why, like, once again, and I don't want to go too deep into this, but the whole Polanco versus Ozuna thing, like, Ozuna is not going to be that big ticket. He doesn't have the potential to give you what Polanco can. That's literally why you're going to give Polanco every opportunity to showcase that. Because if he can, and maybe it's not this year and it is next year, he finally does, then you have a trade chip. And you can get something of value in return and help this rebuild. We are not going to get that out of Ozuna. Even though right now, physically today on this date, Jose Ozuna might be the better player. Long term, I will give every opportunity to have Gregory Polanco as my everyday player because I know what he can present. It's the big risk, big reward type player. Now you mentioned too, which is kind of ironic. Like we don't have another player in the farm system that can give us like that what Polanco can. Well, I kind of disagree a little bit, and it's funny because he's very much the Gregory Polanco prospect and O'Neal Cruz. It's like he's the hit or miss. He could give you exactly the hype that Polanco was given, but I feel like he could definitely give you what Polanco is right now or worse. So there's potential in that person, but again, it's all just potential in my eyes right now.
No, I mean, I guess I agree with you there. So, I mean, O'Neal Cruz has that potential to be that impact bat. I think you look at Cruz and just his floor is super low, his ceiling is super high, and he could do anything in between there. So he's just like a total wild card. Whereas Polanco coming up, you just knew that he was at least going to be a major league starting outfielder. Like
that's a very fair point, actually.
So,
yeah.
So I mean, Polanco coming up Polanco was a top 10 prospect in all of baseball. O'Neal Cruz is nowhere near that. So like, I see the upside though on Cruz. Like Cruz's upside is similar to what Polanco's upside was coming up, right? So that makes sense. I see that. So I was listening to you and Tyler kind of talk about Cruz last week, and I still want to see him try. I don't think he's going to be able to do it, but I still want to see him try to play shortstop. Who knows? Maybe it could happen, but I think he needs to stay there as long as he can, because you also talked about this too, like the amount of just impact shortstops there are in Major League Baseball right now. It would be really nice to have one of those, and Cruz has that potential where if he can actually stick at shortstop, he could be like an elite guy in this league. Even if he just reaches 75, 80% of his potential, right? Whereas if you have to move him to first base or corner outfield, or if he's just a DH, that takes a lot of his value away. But no, I mean, I think from like an outfielder standpoint, you look at like Swaggerty. Swaggerty just doesn't have the power. Swaggerty's decent at a lot of different things, but he's not great at anything.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Hayes still hasn't really shown he can hit. He can field, but he can't hit. Gonzalez has shown he can hit in college and Cape Cod, but yeah, I don't know. I think the rebuild process could probably, after 2 years, you should be able to start seeing the fruits of that. And so Polanco could play a role in like that early part of like the next generation, right? But again, like you said too, if he's performing well, he could be traded and bring you back something in return that could also be impactful for a longer time. So he's an important part of this team. So hopefully he can hopefully he can get things together.
Yep. Good call. And I'm with you. You do make a very, very good point there with Cruz. I mean, obviously, if he can play short, like you said, to refer back to Tyler and I's conversation last week, that's like the money position. There's such elite talent there. And if he can be part of that, then the Pirates could have elite talent there. Because we talked about the talent in middle infield in the minors, such and opposed to like 10 years ago where like middle infield was just bare. There was nothing there that we all got excited about Jordy Mercer, right? There's definitely talent, but no one has the ceiling, as you've mentioned, as Cruz. Like Cruz could be that superstar talent at short. Gonzalez probably is going to be a nice shortstop if he plays short in the future. Middle infielder, of course, at any means. He could be nice, but I don't think that superstar talent's there where Cruz could be that. So I definitely see your point there. I don't know. So like, again, going around the diamond, tonight's game, we don't have much to talk about since there wasn't, again, a series with the Cardinals all week. Any other bright spots or anything that you've wanted to talk about with tonight's game?
Not really. I guess, no. I mean, Richard Rodriguez coming on in the 8th there. And that was we still had a really high win probability there, but he came in a spot where things could have kind of gotten a little bit out of control.
2-1, Richard comes in. Great American ballpark, right? The homer-prone pitcher.
Yeah.
I'm with
you. So
he
comes in, shuts down that 8th inning. And really, once that 8th inning was shut down, you're up by 4 heading into the 9th. The game's basically over at that point.
And Del Pozo is being DFA'd. So now, yes.
Right. But no, I mean, it's a totally different situation there if you go into that 9th inning. I mean, it was 2nd and 3rd. Totally different situation. If both of those runs score, then it's 9-7 going into the 9th. Kella gives up a leadoff homer. It's now 9-8, right? And it's a totally different ball game. So good job by Rich Rod.
I agree. It was pleasant to see Rich Rod come in and perform like he did. Keona Kella makes his debut. Wasn't perfect. It wasn't the way I think many of us wanted to see it go down. And of course, let's talk about that. He makes his debut in Cincinnati, of all places. I mean, man, could there not be fans in the stands?
Yeah. His favorite team, Cincinnati.
Right. So yeah, he makes his debut, gives up the home run. But let's just talk about the way he looked. Again, first game back. He hasn't pitched in how long, right? He comes back the first time. I thought he looked fairly well. The stuff seemed to be there.
Stuff was there. 14 curveballs, 14 fastballs, kind of looking at his breakdown. 2 swings and misses of his curve, 2 swings and misses of his 4-seamer. When the ball got put in play, it was hit hard. Mm-hmm. But I think the stuff looked good. He had a little bit of trouble putting hitters away until that last batter. But no, I mean he did fine.
Yeah,
it was his first game. He didn't look bad. Like remember, like when we saw Kyle Crick's first outing of this year, it was like, what's wrong? This doesn't look good.
Thanks for putting perspective on.
Yeah, no red flags came up in his outing. He looked like Keona Kella, which was good to see.
Right. Yeah, the fastball is definitely there. His touching 98 pretty much consistently. The slider at times it fell off. It looked really nice. So yeah, I guess again, it was good to see because he has returned. We know this team. Forget the tweet that was put out there this morning by somebody. The Pirates are not in any playoff hopes or contentions, we assume, right? Even with the expanded playoffs. So with that being said, also, as we talked about, Polanco and trading and such, I mean, getting Kella back, who is in his last year of his Pirates deal, right, of his contract, he becomes a free agent next year. It would be good for the Pirates to have a good Keona Kella come in, show he has some value, show he's, a good relief pitcher, because the way pitchers are going down this year, Jim, every team's going to need one. And there's now 16 teams who need one opposed to the regular amount, right? So he could potentially be that piece that the Pirates can dangle and get some really good value in return. So again, that's why I'm watching Kella. I like the dude. I mean, I wish he could be a Pirate forever, but I just don't see it happening. But yeah, I guess like of this game, nothing else truly stood out for me. I guess bring this up too. Colin Moran, we talked about on Starbucks how he's kind of cooled down a little bit. Tonight, he looked pretty good. 3 hard hits. He went 2 for 5 with a home run as well. So as good as he Colin Moran come back in this year where is also again like is Colin Moran good? We're still trying to determine that. We know for a fact Eric Tatis Sr. is good. It's proven.
Right.
That's done. MVP.
Foregone conclusion.
Done.
Yes.
Right. So now we're just wondering and focusing, is Colin Moran potentially, like a co-MVP? So it was nice to see that come out tonight.
Yeah. No, he had a good year, and kind of touching back on what we were talking about with Kella. Yeah, I don't see him being a Pirate past this year. And I don't really think it makes sense to do it either. He hasn't really shown he can go out there and pitch a full season in a while. I mean, he's thrown a total of 45 innings with the Pirates over 2.5 years, essentially.
Yeah.
So he hasn't really shown the durability. So I don't think he's someone that you would go out and give him like a 3-year, $16 million deal, something like that. I don't think he's a guy you would do that with. I do like him though. Like, he seems like a cool guy, just from what he does.
Seems like he's got that great closer mentality too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not all there in the head, and I love that.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, talking about Moran too, he had a good game. Like I said, the home run in the first inning, nice. Good to see him kind of get back because he was slumping.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I mean, how's he gonna respond? Maybe this is just a 1-game thing. I mean, everybody was hitting DiSclafani, so who knows? But yeah, it'd be nice to see him continue on this. So, and plus, I had over 9.5 home runs, and Tyler had under. So I need 4 more home runs out of him.
I was just gonna say you might actually get that this weekend. Yeah. I mean, and that's not even as a joke. I mean, in that ballpark, it's a 4-game series. He could hit that this weekend.
He could, yeah.
Yeah. But hey, if Colin Moran can produce, again, it's just not, I don't know if he's long term either. Maybe he comes a trade chip because we know Brian Hayes is back there waiting. But like you mentioned, like his bat has never really shown up for, long spurts in any really league, So, and it definitely wasn't there last year in AAA. He looked pretty bad. He's one of like the worst hitters in Indy. So, yeah, I mean, hey, he could. It's always good to have these type of decisions, right? When you got to question if this guy's going to be in your long-term plans or not. So good for Moran, and good luck to you, Charrington, on making the correct decision.
Bucko Mike says that Nutting needs to do fines for good play. No, we need to stop winning.
Right. We need to treat this like
actually, so
like major
so
league.
I wanted to let's talk about Mackey's tweet a little bit. Can we talk about that?
Of course, why not?
So
I had fun with it.
I like Jason Mackey. He seems like also a good guy, and he's a pretty good reporter. He seems to ask the questions that I would want to be asked. But yeah, today he tweets out, "This is a big series for the Pirates. If they win 3 out of 4 or sweep, they're in the playoff picture." And I'm like, what are you? What are you talking about? They're 3-13. Even if they sweep, they're 7-13.
Right.
And so I do want to let you know, DiNardo, with the win that we had today. Okay.
All right.
It improved our playoff odds 0.2%.
Hey, I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Before today's game, the Pirates had a 0.6% chance of making the playoffs. Now it's 0.8. So, hey. And as I'm kind of defending the tweet now, I was making fun of it earlier. if the Pirates sweep the Reds, they are tied with the Reds.
There you go. The first place Reds, Jim.
Yeah.
The first place Reds.
Second place Reds.
Oh, you picked it for second place?
Well, now they're second place.
Okay. No, and like here's what I found funny too. Now, this isn't a perfect science because wins and losses, whatever. But what I found funny is just like you mentioned, it's a 4-game series, so there's 4 games, not just 3. So a sweep is even harder. So if they swept them and gained 4 wins, like you mentioned, being 7-13, well, right now today, they would only have more wins than 2 other teams today in the NL. And one of them has only played 5 total games this whole year. So yeah, it's like, I mean, I get what he's saying to a degree, but it's like, that's not really information like you need to put out there. It's really nothing. Like, yeah, I guess on a technicality, this is a big series because if they take 4 games, then they need another 4-game sweep and then another 3-game sweep and then get into it. So this is the start of that. Like theoretically they're in it. So this would be a big thing, but like, come on, it's not happening. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about Eric Gonzalez.
No, but I mean, so, and on his point, there are currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 National League teams with a winning record. So that means there's 2 teams out there right now who would make the playoffs with losing records.
Yep. And it's like the NBA, I mean, that's happened as well. I could say I assume NHL too, but I don't watch that, but I've heard the NHL too. But you're probably going to see some team that doesn't have a winning percentage and they're in the playoffs. And it's okay because it's 2020. Let's get weird. I don't care. I would love that. It's just not going to be the Pirates to be one of those teams. It's just not. I mean, they're progressively getting worse. They're losing more and more people.
You know how we were talking about how the AL Central is like really bad?
Yeah, go ahead.
We were saying that for a while. If the season ended right now, there would be 4 teams in the AL Central to make the playoffs.
How good are the Tigers and why?
Well, because they played the Pirates 4 times. But did we play them 4 times or 3 times? 3 times.
I can't remember. Probably 3.
Yeah. And they swept us. And then they played the Reds a bunch and beat up on them.
Right. But like Jacoby Jones? Really?
Hey, it's Neil Huntington. It's his drafting. He drafts awesome talent.
I guess so. I mean, he would look nice in a Pirates uniform right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would take him. Oh, I mean, what if you had Jacoby Jones out there, and like instead of Dyson?
That would be a good thing.
Yeah.
But then again, we did get it was Feliz, right?
No. Who was that trade?
Oh wow.
Was it Liriano?
No. Liriano was a free agent. Right. I'm gonna look this up.
Jacoby Jones.
Joaquim Soria.
Got it.
That's what it was.
Who was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like he helped us in that stretch run. Yeah. I mean that was a good trade. I'd probably do that again.
That's the trade that, I mean, everyone complains and talks about it. That is the trade you make. This is the negative thing that comes out is when that guy ends up being good. I mean, you went for it.
Let's
You did something to win. I mean, Jacoby Jones was a good prospect. Wasn't anything great, but now he looks great, of course.
Because let's be honest, Jacoby Jones isn't great.
No,
he's had a good 15 games.
Yes,
that's
okay.
That's not who he is.
That's a perfect example. So like that's literally what we're talking about with the Eric Gonzalez and why we're talking about him, because Jacoby Jones is a bunch of empty numbers. You know, when you look at the numbers, it looks good, although the home runs are there. But when you look at Eric Gonzalez, like he's backing up all his numbers with what he's doing and such. So yes, that's a good example. The Jacoby Jones, not good. Eric Tatis Sr., MVP.
MVP.
All right.
Actually, I'm looking at Jacoby Jones' StatCast page. It does look pretty good.
Does it really?
It does. There's quite a bit of red.
It's gonna make us eat our
It's
words.
not as good. It's not as good as Eric Gonzalez. I'll give it that. But like I'm looking at this page and I'm like, okay, I like that.
Okay, I'll give it to him. He is hitting the ball pretty hard. And he's walking.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, 16% barrel rate too. Okay. Anyways. Enough of Jacoby Jones. So yeah, I don't know. As far as like
trade.
Player wise right now, especially tonight's game, I think that kind of wraps everything up. Is there anything else that you again want to talk about, caught your eye?
Not really. I think that was about it.
All right. Well, let's go to the question of the day, which also comes from you, Jim.
Okay.
The Beard Gang.
Yeah. So I noticed Rich Rodriguez, you know, and he just has a solid beard. Like, I don't know. He looks like a pirate out there on the mound.
I mean, I have
like
to
a real
hand
life
it to you.
pirate.
And it's funny because I not usually tweet things that are on my mind or whatever too, but I didn't because I don't know, I felt like maybe kind of embarrassed because I didn't know who was on the mound. I actually went to go get dinner, not like out. It was in the kitchen. I fixed it up, walked back in, and I just literally saw this guy on the mound just turn. So I didn't see who it was, but I saw like part of the face turn away. And I swear to God, Jim, all right, I'm not even lying about this, but then you tweet this out later. I'm like, we got to talk about this. I wanted to know who was pitching because I thought the guy was wearing a mask. I'm not lying to you. I thought the guy was wearing a mask, and I was like, who do they have on the mound? Because I've yet to see a pitcher with a mask on. And then, of course, I got another angle, and I saw his Rich Rod. I was like, oh, well, okay, now it makes sense. Now I feel like a fool, so I'm not going to tweet it out. But then you put that out there, and yeah, like it makes me think this Beard Gang, it's pretty legit.
Yeah, like Colin Moran is always like the guy that people talk about his beard, and Colin Moran has a pretty solid beard too, but there's just something about Rich Rod with it. It's like dark black beard. And like I said, in the all black uniforms too. I was like, that looks sharp.
He takes care of it. He definitely does, and it's nice and shiny. It's it's full. It's a good beard. You know, many men would be very jealous of that beard. So
we don't have a picture of it that we can put up, do we? That would be great.
You know, I
don't think we
wasn't prepared for that. So, and I'm not going to test this right now and try to do it live.
Yeah,
and have our thing crash on us. But it did make me think because, like you said, you know, as you mentioned, what was it like? Who's besides him who recently has had a good beard?
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, like Colin Moran, of course. I mean, he's Captain Red Beard. But it started making me think, like going back into previous years, like what pirate stands out as having a good beard? And to me, like the first one that came to my mind was Pedro. I mean, he was known for the beard.
Yeah.
But I don't know, you know, we're talking about the level of Rich Rod. I mean, it's not there. It was nice. It was clean. It was nice, tight, clean. But it wasn't like this massive beard. To me, I felt like Jay Hay was probably the last player with like a legit beard that looked good and it could pull it off.
Yeah, no, that was I agree with that. So you're not saying AJ Schugel?
Okay. I knew we were going to go there, right? Now, Is that your pick?
AJ Shugel is definitely my. I would say like AJ Shugel is like that guy where everybody knows that person like you went to school with where like they tried growing a beard and they just couldn't do it and it
Yes.
just looked terrible. That's AJ Shugel. Where like you could tell that he tried really hard to grow a beard and it was like, what is this thing on his face?
Uh-huh. See, and like I look at it in this way. Like Josh Harrison grew a beard, looked really good. Now, even like Colin Moran, very similar. They're both redheaded, this big beard and stuff. Like Moran can grow a big solid beard, and it almost fits like his personality. But again, with Rich Rod, like his beard looks good. It's a nice beard. When I look at Shugel, to me, it's like that ironic beard. It's just so terrible, but yet because it's so terrible, it's so great. And it does. He looks completely Amish. If you saw it, listen, if he was standing outside of a giant eagle right now, you would look at him and you would think he was Amish.
Oh God.
Right? And it's not like a knock. I mean, you just like simply this is how he looks.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But he's a professional baseball player.
It was like that unkept, just like shaggy beard, like
yes,
never trimmed. Like it looks like he had like never shaved in his life. Like he went from puberty, like he's been growing that beard since puberty, never shaved ever. That is all the hair that's ever grown on his face.
It's like you said, he's that kid who never could grow a beard. And that kid always, like you said, it was just scraggly. It was always there. They never shaved it though. You'd always say, just shave that, stuff off. And it never was. So you're right. He just never did. He never listed. And this is what it's just grown into.
So that was AJ Shugel. Yeah.
I mean, I'm waiting for that, Family Guy episode. Peter had like the bird in his beard. And like, I'm waiting for that, the bird just start coming out of his beard and stuff. I mean, it's not well kept, but it's so terrible that it's so great. So like, I can't knock it, but if we're actually trying for real beards, like Rich Rod, Shugel's got to be out. To me, I guess the last one's J-Hay.
Right. It's almost like when, you mentioned hockey. Like I love Sidney Crosby, but he's awful at growing a playoff beard because if Sidney Crosby went a year without shaving, he would look like AJ Shugel. Like that would be the Sidney Crosby 1 year long beard.
The women would hate it. Man. Yeah. So that's beard game. I mean, and I'll tell you, I don't know how you are too. I could never do that. I shave. I should say shaved. I went the longest without shaving at this quarantine. And usually, like for me, if I'll go like 3 weeks without shaving, I can't do it. I itch, I scratch. I'm always can't do it. So I went, and I got to a point where after a while, it stopped that itching phase. But it was just, I just got so annoyed. I cut off. I think I went 2 solid months, maybe a little over 2 months. So I had some pictures, but I could never do that. So I think with that being said too, I give props to people who grow the beards because I can't stand them that long.
No, I'm the same way. Like once I have to like trim it down because once it gets a certain length, it gets so itchy and it just drives me crazy. And yeah, like eventually it'll be to the point where like I'll wake up in the middle of the night at like 3 a.m. I'll be like, I can't take this anymore. And I'll go into the bathroom and I'll trim it down. Like that's how annoyed I get with it sometimes.
That's I'm not gonna say 3 a.m., but that's what I was with this beard. It was just honestly like I just stood up from probably the seat. I think I was like working or just stopped working. Just went in the bathroom and just shaved it. Just right at spur of the moment, like I'm done. I quit. We can't move forward unless because Bucko Mike is hounding us on the stream. So he says Russell Martin had a good beard. He had a good one.
Yeah. I mean, he had like that solid beard that, yeah. No, I would agree. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
His definitely looked better than AJ Shugel. That's for sure.
Correct. That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's absolutely a fact. Yes. All right. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if we have a whole lot more to talk about tonight, Jim. This might be a shorter stream. Again, haven't had much baseball thanks to the Cardinals. So You want to wrap it
Yeah,
up
the
here?
Cardinals ruined it for everyone. So yeah, I think that's good.
Still ruining it for the Tigers. All right. So then we will see you guys this Sunday. We're back for the podcast. So until then, bye-bye.
See ya.